I could smell it before I even reached my door. That warm, rich, mouth-watering scent drifting through the hallway, curling into the stale air of the apartment complex, catching me right in the gut. It was the kind of smell that made you close your eyes for a second and imagine sitting at a real kitchen table, steam rising from a plate of food that someone made with care. And it wasn't the first time. For 2 years now, living diagonally across from me, this woman, who I didn't even know by name, had been cooking meals that could make a stranger's stomach ache with envy. I'd complimented her cooking smells in passing before. Just quick, awkward hallway moments. Smells good in there. She'd smile politely, maybe not, and keep walking. We weren't friends. We were barely even acquaintances. But my life had been changing in ways I didn't like. I'm 31, single, and for 6 years, I've been living alone here. I never learned how to cook. Not really. I got by on takeout, frozen dinners, boxed mac and cheese. Then I lost one of my part-time jobs. Suddenly, the takeout habit wasn't sustainable. And the cheap food? It wasn't just boring. It was making me feel heavy, slow, unhealthy. I'd stand in front of the mirror and see a man slowly drifting into a version of himself he didn't want to be. And every night, that smell. Home-cooked food, seasoned just right, like something from a family kitchen I'd never had. I'd think, she's cooking anyway. She's right there. It started as a harmless thought. Then it became an idea. Then the idea started to feel like a solution. The next time I saw her, I decided I'd ask. I told her I could give her some money each week if she could just cook a little extra and bring it over. Or I could pick it up, whatever was easiest. I tried to make it sound casual, like it was no big deal. Her reaction caught me off guard. She looked surprised. Not offended exactly, but guarded. Then she said she couldn't. She was too busy. I remember thinking her reasoning didn't make sense. She cooked almost every day, so how could it be too much trouble to just make a bit more? But I didn't push in that moment. A few days later, I saw her again, and instead of letting it go, I brought it up one more time. This time, I offered more money. I thought maybe she just needed it to feel worth her while. That's when her tone changed. She told me she was sure. She told me it was rude to even ask. She said she wasn't a housekeeper for hire, and if that's what I wanted, I should go find one. She called me a stranger. A stranger. The word landed harder than I expected. We'd talked before. We lived across from each other. I thought that meant something. But to her, I was still just some man in the hallway, and now, a man who had crossed a line. I walked back to my apartment, feeling the heat rise in my face. Embarrassed, a little angry. I told myself she was overreacting, that I wasn't being creepy. I even thought, she's not my type, so it's not like that. But the seed of doubt was there. Then the internet got involved. I wrote about it online, expecting maybe a mix of opinions. What I got instead was a tidal wave of people telling me, point blank, that I was the asshole. They said I'd made her uncomfortable in her own home, that I was treating her time and labor like it was mine to negotiate for, that asking once was unusual, but asking twice after she said no, that was crossing into harassment. They explained things I hadn't considered. How cooking for someone else isn't just about making more food. It's planning, shopping, adjusting recipes, accommodating tastes, cleaning extra dishes, and coordinating schedules. And doing that for a stranger changes the whole experience. They told me The "she's not my type" line made it worse, not better. That creepiness isn't about sexual interest. It's about ignoring boundaries. It hit me then, hard, how she must have felt. Maybe now she tenses up every time she walks down our hallway. Maybe she's thinking about whether I'm waiting or listening or going to bring it up again. That idea made me feel sick. The more I thought about it, the more I realized I'd been acting entitled. Like my need for better food somehow made me worthy of her effort. Like my problem was hers to solve. I'd convinced myself it was harmless because I was offering money. But it wasn't about the money. It was about assuming she should say yes. And the truth? I didn't need her cooking. I needed to grow up, learn to take care of myself, stop looking for the easiest way out just because I didn't like the work involved. So I decided there'd be no apology in the hallway, no further conversation, just space. I'd leave her alone. If my instinct was what got me here, I wasn't going to trust it to fix things. I'll cook for myself. I'll eat the bad meals until they get better, and I'll carry the lesson. So, am I the asshole? I thought I was just being practical. I thought I was making a reasonable offer. But maybe reason has nothing to do with it when you're asking for something that crosses someone else's comfort zone. And maybe that's the real question. Not whether I was the asshole, but whether I was willing to see the world from her side at all. Here's my reflection as your host. This story isn't just about cooking. It's about boundaries. It's about how easy it is to assume our needs should matter to someone else simply because they're visible to us. The smell of her cooking became a symbol of comfort to him, but it wasn't an invitation. And I think that's the part worth remembering. We can't know what's going on in someone else's life just because we see or smell a fraction of it. We can't decide for them what's easy or what they should want to do for us. It's also about the courage to face the truth when it's uncomfortable. In this case, the truth was that he needed to take responsibility for himself, not shift it to someone else who owed him nothing. That shift, from defending himself to recognizing her perspective, is where growth begins. So, I'll leave you with this. When someone tells you no, can you take it as the end of the conversation? Or do you take it as the start of a negotiation? Because the way you answer that question says a lot more about you than it does about them. What about you? If you were in her shoes, how would you feel? And if you were in his, what would you have done differently?